Thank you all for coming to the roundtable.
Absolutely.
Peter Alter from cbsi in New York. And what I thought I would do is I'd talk a little bit today about the protections, the power of the protections that are in this little 3x5 piece of plastic. So, most of the content earlier today was about how to get in the front 4 seats of the plane and get extra points for your purchases. That's terrific. But I want to suggest that also important is what happens when things go wrong with items or trips that you purchased on your credit card, and what the benefits on your credit card can do to protect that. So I'll throw out a couple of examples of the most common types of protection benefits that are on credit cards. One of them would be the auto rental collision damage waiver benefit. When you rent a car, you have to have insurance to drive that car off the lot. Your choices as a consumer are to buy that coverage from the rental agency. That can be between $13 and $20 a day, depending upon the type of car that you're renting. You can use your own auto insurance as evidence of coverage if you'd like. There'll be no additional cost for that. However, in the event of a claim, you would have to suffer your deductible. And on top of that, potentially impacts to your premium at your renewal. So the credit card auto rental collision damage waiver, no additional cost simply for using a credit card that has that benefit. You've got auto rental protection benefits. You're good to go. So you have a cost save of whatever the premium is. Let's say it's $15 a day while you're renting the car. That's automatic. And then, God forbid, you have an event with the car. The car is damaged, the car is stolen. You'll have no additional out-of-pocket cost because the credit card benefits will protect you for those expenses. So that's probably the most common benefit and one of the most valuable benefits that we see on credit cards.
So I've seen when reviewing a lot of those benefits, like Australia and a couple other countries are generally excluded from that.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why those countries specifically are excluded?
There are a couple of countries that you would see excluded. The reason is two reasons. One is those are countries that, for various reasons, the frequency of claims is much higher than other countries. And two is some of these countries have laws that require that you buy the insurance from the rental agency. And therefore, the bank card benefit doesn't really apply. However, there are different credit card products that will have expanded versions of the auto rental benefit. And some of those you can find worldwide coverage with no exclusions.
And then, like I was renting a car in Costa Rica. This is probably 5-6 years ago. And even though I used the card with the protection benefits, the rental car agency required that I buy it from them. They wouldn't let me take the car if I didn't buy their insurance. Like, what do you do in that type of scenario? Even though, I'm like, look, this card has these benefits. I showed them, and they're like, I don't care, you're not taking this car unless you buy our insurance. So what do you do in that type of scenario?
That's an excellent question, thank you. So, a couple things. We can't control what a rental agency will require for their contract. However, if a customer is required to buy the insurance, we will, typically our programs are secondary to something that you would buy. We will allow our coverage to wrap around whatever the coverage is that the customer was required to purchase, the renter had purchased, so that we won't invalidate our coverage. We will still cover anything that's not covered by the rental agency's coverage. The other thing that we do, and this is maybe in response to the fact that there are some bank cards that don't have auto rental collision damage waiver. Rental agencies will sometimes require evidence of coverage. And perhaps it's a scare tactic because they're trying to look for a way to sell you their insurance, and perhaps it's a consumer protection. You decide which one it really is. What we'll do is the customer calls us, and they can call us directly, they can call us through the phone number on the back of their card, the bank will send them to us, is we deliver to that customer an evidence of coverage. So it's an actual letter written out to you proving what your coverage is so that you can present that. It's designed to be presented to the rental agency so that they'll allow you to rent the car and drive it off the lot. Any other? I'm sorry? So we have 24/7, 365 live customer service reps. So you can call us directly, and our phone number for the banks that include our benefits will be in the disclosure. You can call the phone number on the back of your credit card. They'll direct you to us, or you can go right to the website and request it digitally. We'll send it to you. Yeah.
Like a lot of our cards have, working for ourselves, right? We got business and personal cards. I know that if you have a business card, sometimes the inclination is to use the business card, maybe getting more miles on the transaction or whatever. But if you're not renting a car for personal, like the coverage is excluded, right?
Another really good question. So the way that the coverage works is it's dependent upon the issuer. So some bank card issuers will offer primary auto rental collision damage waiver on every rental. Others will offer secondary on a personal rental and primary if it's a business rental. You can use a personal credit card to go on a business trip. Many people do.
Oh, yeah.
And as long as the claimant indicates that they were on business, that's covered as primary.
But I'm saying the opposite. If you have, because we have small businesses,
Yeah.
we have a small business card paying for it, but really it's a personal trip.
Yeah.
In that case, the coverage doesn't apply, correct?
No, it will still apply.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to cover any car rental rented with a credit card that has that benefit.
Okay. So I'm pretty. I guess maybe I'm
So you're saying
recalling it.
using a business card, any trip booked with that business card is covered, even if it's taking the kids on vacation.
Yeah. But I thought I read in terms and conditions that it only applies if it's a business trip. So, but maybe I'm confused. But I'm glad that when reading it and sourcing out for an article that some of those coverages that doesn't apply for personal trips.
Yeah, our programs, any car rental on a car that has the benefit will cover. And frankly, especially nowadays, you really can't distinguish what's a business trip, what's a personal trip. And when we're adjudicating a claim, we're not going to know. We don't know your business. So that's not an exclusion that we could apply. Yeah.
Was that? Maybe. Yeah.
I just also wanted to make a comment and maybe even ask a question to the table about the relative value of the auto rental collision damage waiver benefit versus rewards. So the average car rental is about 4 days and $450. So that would mean that a $450 car rental at roughly 2 cents per dollar spent generates about $9 in rewards value back to the cardholder. Now it could be more, it could be 18. I know that you guys are experts in maximizing that. But the CDW benefit is worth about $17 a day in the expense that you don't have to pay to the rental agency for the insurance. Or if you don't do that and use your own insurance, and again, God forbid event that there's any sort of a claim, it'll cost you much, much more than that. So my question is, how do you consider the value of something like CDW versus reward points when you're making a choice as to which credit card to use for a transaction?
It's actually a really timely question because I'm coming up for credit card, I'm coming up with total card value.
Yeah.
And we're basically valuing all the benefits as many as we can. Some of them are so intangible that we can't value them because we don't want to guess to create a profile for a person.
Mm-hmm.
So in a situation like insurance, we decided to leave it out because we didn't, if we guessed it wouldn't be relevant to 99% of the people.
Right.
But if there was, like what you were saying there about the average and everything, I mean, if there was a way to include that, we'd love to, to be more inclusive of the thing. We just didn't know how to include it basically.
Sure.
In a fair way.
Well, there are certain facts that we know.
Yeah.
We know the typical cost of rental insurance buying it from the counter. We know the typical result of a claim filed against your personal auto, the deductible that you're going to suffer, and potential impact on your premium. So we know that. We don't know, there seems to be such a wide range of consideration of what's a reward value of a $250 car rental, for example.
I was assuming it'd be like how much you would pay if you went to the rent-a-car counter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's easy. We have all those stats.
You guys could email me that, but also the other things you mentioned.
Sure. Sure. If we can follow up after this and just send me a note, definitely can do that.